Yeah, so that's the standard narrative. There's some kind of black dysfunction, personal irresponsibility, and the like must explain these kinds of differences. Well, there's a study that Wolf and Gittleman did in 2004, which we are trying to update, which actually demonstrates that if you control for household income, the black and white savings rates are equivalent. And actually, in some income categories, the black savings rate is slightly higher than the white savings rate. Now, that's said in the context of a society where the savings rate is relatively low by international standards. Okay, you could say nobody saves in America, but if you look at the actual measured savings rates in their study, there is no significant difference between blacks and whites. Even more pronounced is their finding that there is no significant difference in rates of return on portfolios once you control for household income. Okay? So household income, once you control for household income, there's no evidence of any kind of behavioral differences that are significant. Okay? But the other thing I want to emphasize is the work that we did on working hard, getting a higher level of education. None of those kinds of behaviors or practices are associated with any significant closure of the wealth gap. Okay? So
Did you see that, family? Did you hear what he just said? What that means is that everybody is lying to you. That means that everybody who is telling you that if you go to school and if you work hard, you can close this gap. There is no association. No measurable association. I'm not telling you not to go to school. What I'm telling you is that there's no measurable association between hard work. There's no measurable association between going to school and actually closing that gap. Now, you may be able to close the income gap, but what he's telling you is that income is not wealth, and you shouldn't confuse the two. Income is income, wealth is wealth. The wealth disparity is very, very different than the income disparity. As a matter of fact, there's another clip I'll get to in a little while, but not yet, that shows that the income is the wealth disparity actually just it just is not the same as the income disparity. It's so much bigger. It's huge because it's generational. It's what they call in vitro transfers. You know what an in vitro transfer is? That's when they transfer money throughout life. So if a white person gives their kid money to buy a house, that's an in vitro transfer. If a white person gives their kid money to start a business, like Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg did, his father did, that's an in vitro transfer. All of these are in vitro transfers. So what you're looking at, and that money just keeps getting passed down and down and down through generation. So what you're looking at is we're a group that does not have any money for in vitro transfers. We don't have the money for that. Now this is very important, because what the data is showing is that hard work and having a college education is not enough to climb out of that. What it actually means is that you fall, because the key issue in terms of not falling, if you're a community, if you're a person who doesn't fall, what that means is that somebody in your family has enough money to stabilize you. So that means that's liquid assets. And there's another chart in there about liquid assets, about the assets that I hope we can bring up. It's about the assets that white people have versus black people. They have liquid assets. The liquid assets are assets that you can get to quickly. Assets you can get to very quickly. Those are liquid assets. So if somebody's in jail, you can get to a liquid asset and get that person out so they don't lose their job. If somebody's going through some medical problems, you can get those liquid assets out. Right? That's what this is about. So if we could I just want to bring up that liquid asset chart so that we can see exactly what that means in terms of how behind we are in terms of liquid assets. Okay, this is liquid asset ownership in Los Angeles.
Okay.
I'm looking for, there is a chart with just liquid assets, not home ownership. And we're going to go back to this home ownership. We're going to go back to this asset ownership in Los Angeles because that's also important.
Okay, back to you.
So we don't have any liquid assets, black people. We have $1,700 as the middle family. That's what we have. And that is not enough to say, that is not enough to be able to say, I can't compete. I can compete with immigrants. You don't have enough to say that. And look at this liquid asset value. Assets easily converted to cash. I want you to look at that for a minute, and I want you to look at it in terms of race. And think about what that means in terms of what you can and cannot do for the child that you brought into this onto this planet. That means a lot. That means a lot. And I think that's what he was trying to explain. And you can take it to something else. I want to bring up something else. In Boston, descendants of slaves have $40,000 in net income and $8 in net worth. $8 in net worth in Boston. $40,000 in income. $8 in net worth. This is huge. This is huge. How can somebody with $8 tell me that they don't have to worry about immigrants taking their jobs? How can you tell me that with $8? I don't understand how you have that conversation with me. I don't understand why you think you're white. I don't understand what that means. That you think that you're white. Because that's what you have to think if you think that you're not competing with immigrants. There's a chart, median value, and I want to stay on this chart for a while. Median value of household income, of household wealth. Median value of household wealth. Okay? Median value of household wealth, and I'm looking at it right now. Black descendant of slaves in Los Angeles, $4,000. In Miami, $3,700. In Boston, like I said, $8. In Tulsa, $8,000. In DC, $3,500. Now, Africans who are not descendants of slaves in LA, we're talking $72,000. And we're talking $3,000 in DC. Now, you know who we compare ourselves to? You know who we're closest to? When you look at the median value of household wealth, we have 4,000. The U.S. black descendant of slave in L.A. has 4,000, and the Mexican has 3,500. You are the Mexican. We are the Mexican. What do you mean we can't compete with them? What do you mean we shouldn't have to compete with them? We are them.